welcome back to Ponderosa Garden Adventures. I'm Sharon,
I'm Mark.
and today I have a question for you. Do you like artichokes? Have you tried an artichoke? Have you grown an artichoke? Well, I've never eaten an artichoke, but I love the beautiful purple flowers. And when we were at a garden center, a couple of plants just jumped into our cart, and Mark said, let's try and grow these.
Now, I've eaten artichokes before, and I love steamed artichokes with a little melted butter, but I've never grown them before, and every season we like to try and grow something that we've never grown before in our garden. So this year we chose artichoke. We found a container with two nice, healthy-looking artichokes, really teeny tiny, and we chose artichokes because we found out that they grow well in warm climates like Zone 10A.
Right.
And they tend to grow quite large and can even be perennial because they're self-propagating.
Right. I'm looking forward to, hopefully, Mark wants to get some of those artichokes. I would like for it to go ahead and flower because they have a beautiful purple flower if you let them get that far. So that's what I'm hoping for. So one of the two plants, I'm hoping to see that beautiful purple flower. So join us today. Mark's going to walk us through where he selected to plant them and, all of his process for getting them in place. And then we'll follow along for the progress.
We're going to need a large space because they can be perennial and they can get really, really large. I've heard they get maybe
really
6
big,
feet in diameter.
Really big. So we've got a good spot back in our melon patch. We've got a large backyard, so we found a good spot for it. And Mark's going to take us through that. So come watch and let's see how it goes.
Well, we've come to the end of another long day here at the Ponderosa. I just want to wrap it up and finish one more thing, and that is to plant these artichoke plants. We've got two plants. I think these are actually part of our Valentine's Day haul. It actually was in one container, but I split it off into two. And one's going to go into the ground, and one's going to go into this container because we're not sure where we want it. I'm going to be using an organic 333, just a generic starter mix. Should be good. All right. This is something called Milorganite. This is just pretty much little pellets of nitrogen. The area I decided to plant the artichokes is here in the northwest part of the garden. We call it the melon patch, although for the past few years we've been actually planting zucchini squash here. So that's convenient because I've already cut holes in the weed cloth, and you'll see there's some wire mesh around the edges. That is actually a gopher cage that's buried in that hole to prevent gophers from burrowing in and eating the roots. I decided not to plant zucchini squash this year because it's a lot of work, a lot of maintenance, they take up a lot of space, and they make a lot of fruit. They get really huge if you don't harvest them. Also, I like to rotate my crops and not plant the same thing, the same spot year after year. We have planted cantaloupe and pumpkins in this area in the past, but this year we've decided to move those a little bit over to the next planter, and we're going to be putting them in a large metal container and using a cattle panel as a trellis. So watch for the upcoming video on that project. Alright, well, I'm going to get this watered in, and I'm going to remove those little first leaves and let the plant shoot up from there. And it looks like we are done planting the first artichoke in the ground. Now I'm going to plant the next one in a container. So, the next one I'm going to do in this pot, and a deep one again, so it has lots of space. This is a container that I have tried to grow other edible plants in, such as eggplant, and last year I had a butternut squash that actually did pretty well. I got a couple of squash off of it, but overall it was pretty disappointing. So this year I will try the artichoke and see how it does. I've chosen an area in the back corner of the yard here that is kind of remote so that these do not get disturbed because they're going to get fairly large, and also they have a good enough space to grow. One thing is we don't have irrigation out to this area yet, so that is another upcoming project we're going to have to work on. As you can see, I'm having to water them by hand initially, but we will have that done by the end of summer, I hope. Hi folks, well, I got the artichokes planted, but one more thing I always have to do here at the Ponderosa right after I planted something is cover it with something to protect it, because we have some kind of critters, I think. As I mentioned, we've been having a lot of problems, especially with rabbits this year, getting in and eating our plants. So I'm trying to use chicken wire to keep them out, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes they will burrow under, they will lift the edges and burrow under and get to the plants, and sometimes they will just stick their noses through the mesh and eat the leaves that way. So I'm going to secure it down as best as I can. I'm going to use some stakes and really tighten around the edges and hope for the best. So far this is the best method I've found to keep them out, but we are definitely looking at all kinds of ways to keep the rabbits out of the crops. As you can see, they're doing quite well, and the one that's in the container is doing about as well as the one in the ground, maybe even slightly better. But there seems to be no clear advantage so far. And as a bonus, I did find the third plant. I knew I had 3 plants in that container, but I couldn't find the other one. It was hidden amongst our pea plants. So when I cleared out my peas last spring, there was the third artichoke. So they're doing quite well. I can't wait. I'm gonna have a quick look. I don't see any blossoms yet, so still awaiting those artichokes, but for now they're doing quite well. All right, well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed watching us plant that. As you can see, the artichokes are moving along. They're growing just fine.
They're already getting bigger.
Tell us, leave us a comment below. Let us know how you like to prepare your artichokes, and have you grown artichokes in your yard?
Right. I'd love to see who else out there has grown artichokes, and if you have any tips, because we're new at this, let us know in the comments. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time on Ponderosa Garden Adventures.